Okay. Yeah, this is episode 7 of Yellow Colored Glasses.
Okay.
And today we've got some guys from the Pleasant Hill Fire Department. We got Chief Mark Lopez and Jake Williamson with us, and they're going to be talking a little bit about some things that homeowners can do with winter coming up, and as far as what we see on the insurance side, things that just affect what they're seeing every day. It's something that affects you guys. And then we're going to talk about some football. We're going to talk about, I think, this homecoming Friday. We got the
homecoming. Yep.
We got the homecoming game, and that's first responders night, right?
That was this last Friday.
Oh, it was last Friday. Okay. So, we're going to go through some of that stuff, but really, just to start us off, tell us about yourselves a little bit. So, obviously, you're the chief. How long have you been the chief here?
I am. I've only been the chief here for almost 2 years. So coming up on 2 years. I'm new to Pleasant Hill, not new to Cass County. I've been here for a long time. This is my 26th year in the fire service.
Wow,
so,
that's awesome.
Worked on the Kansas side, retired over there, and then ended up on this side of things. I've always lived in Cass County, but only been here 2 years.
Yeah, how you like it?
It's been interesting.
Yeah.
And Jake can laugh about that because he knows it. It's been an interesting ride so far.
Okay.
But as far as the transition the fire department has made has been pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
In a short 2-year period, we got guys like Jake. Jake's a little more tenured here with the department. He's been here for a while, so he's seen how everything has changed over and. But it's been really good. It's getting better also. I'm excited just as the community grows and things that we're doing. I think we're going to continue to grow, but our fire department's growing as well. So
for sure,
it's cool.
How many people do you guys have on staff?
So full-time wise, we have 15.
Okay.
15 full-timers. There's myself in administration. We have a deputy chief. Derek Coulter is our deputy. We have 2 administrative staff that work, and that's something that has changed too. We went from doing a lot of stuff in-house, but a lot of stuff outside, and we brought a lot of stuff back into our office, and gives us a little bit more oversight, helps us to be able to be a little bit more efficient that way.
Yeah.
And then a lot of part-time. So we use part-time folks as well because we can gain from their experience and stuff that they do outside. So a lot of people on staff, right at 38 is who we have on staff. And Jake is a captain, so he works in operations, which means for us within our dynamic of department, he's the leader of a shift, so he's in charge of an entire shift. But I'll let him talk a little bit about his time here. But yeah, he's a captain over C shift.
Okay.
And on the part-time side, I mean, in the fire world, there's a lot of guys that are part-time that are also full-time.
Other places, yeah.
Do you guys still have Cody Smith at?
Unfortunately, no.
You guys fired him probably.
That was one of my first orders of business when I came here.
Get rid of Cody.
Get rid of Cody. No, Cody's a great guy. He
executed nicely.
Yeah, he got promoted, I believe, at another organization. So where he works full time, got promoted. Kids are growing up. Life is busy, and he couldn't. I think he liked working here within his community. But chose to.
So I have a question, and this might be a dumb question, but do you have to live in Pleasant Hill to be a? Okay, I didn't know because isn't that like a thing with like police officers and stuff? They have to live, in the jurisdiction or whatever.
A lot of it's in Kansas City.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
And so there's legislation right now that is on the Senate floor that's probably going to end up getting passed. That for firefighters at least, it's going to be in state law that you can't require any firefighter in the state of Missouri to have to live within the district they work in.
Good.
It's of a huge benefit for us because it is appealing that some people may not want to live here or they've got roots somewhere else, but they're good employees. And we want those people here in our community, and that's what Kansas City's struggling with because not everybody wants to run and live in Kansas City, but you got good employees that
your pool gets bigger. It's just why do they do that? I mean,
voting.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
exactly
it's voting.
What it is.
Okay. It's all votes for.
Yeah, it's voting. It's political based. And so if you look at like Kansas City, great organizations and relationships that I have with people there, with the police department and the fire department. So the police department just recently released their residency requirements. So you have to be 30 minutes within an outlying border.
Okay.
So I had several buddies that, within a week, sold their houses, moved.
Gotcha.
But now have went from being 15, 16, 17-year guys at KCPD and went, I can retire here now.
Yeah.
I don't have to live amongst the people that I'm arresting and
Correct.
doing all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So they've moved to communities like Pleasant Hill, Lee Summit, Raymore, Belton. They're getting outside the city limits, and they're going, well, I can stay here now. I can have that detachment
Work
from
there
work,
and live outside of all the
yeah,
freaking crazy.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty wild.
So how long have you been?
I think I'm going on 12 years, maybe. Yeah, long time.
has it all been with here at Pleasant Hill?
Yeah, all Pleasant Hill. I worked part-time for Lake Lotawana for a little bit,
Okay.
a few years there, but yeah, I stayed around. I think I'm the only one that lives in district in the whole
Okay.
department now, actually.
Yeah, I think we've got one other captain that lives here.
Yeah,
Doug,
that's right,
Doug
Doug.
lives in town
Yep.
too, but don't have a lot of people that live in Pleasant Hill that are working here. So,
Yep.
in my opinion, I mean that's something that Jake brings to us too, not just tenure of being here, because there are times where I have to come to him and I'm like, hey, where's this body buried? Because like you've been
Yeah.
here and I need to know some information.
Yeah.
But there's a certain connection there too with the community. Like he's got, his boys are playing football. There's
yeah.
not a place that typically he doesn't walk into that somebody
Someone doesn't
doesn't
know.
know
Absolutely.
Jake. And so you have to have that connection in the community because sometimes we're seeing people on the worst day they've ever had in their life. And so when that happens, it's nice of having a familiar face of, hey, they know him.
Comfort there. Yeah.
There's a comfort that comes along that the kind of stuff that we're providing at that point, we can't get out of the back of an ambulance or in a fire truck.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what those people need. It's
Yep.
not any medication we can give. It's give them a little bit of Jake.
Yeah,
you
just
know?
give a little Jake. No,
Give a
I
little
got
Jake.
Jake, man.
I got
Big
you.
Jake, little Jake over here.
We'll have to talk about this one when we're not recording, but I'm about 99.9% sure that the story that I have that you think is the funniest story you've ever heard.
Oh, man.
With my buddy Lee, I'm pretty sure he was on that call. This was before he knew me. So we'll have to
Well,
talk
I
about
remember
that.
seeing Jake, not even knowing who you were, maybe not even your name or anything, when I would work at Price Chopper back in high school, about 12 years
Oh,
ago.
really?
Yeah, I mean, I used to see him come in. He was pretty jacked up, and I'm like, this guy's a firefighter,
Yeah, he's knocking stuff off the shelves.
Like,
He
yes,
walks
sir.
down
Yeah,
the.
yeah, you want plastic or paper here?
That was when you were sacked.
Yeah. But I remember that, and So anyway, I know I've seen you around a lot,
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
So
So
it's good.
I want to circle back to something you said at the beginning when you said over the last couple of years, the way things that have changed in the positive, like for the fire department, the community, all that. What are like a couple things that, because obviously we've got all kinds of voting that happens every few years, all that stuff. What are the things that have been some of those changes that are better?
So I'm not a huge proponent, just me personally, I'm not a huge proponent of tax.
Okay.
But we are a tax-based service. That's what we do in public safety. That's how these guys make their money. It's all tax-based. And so I am a big proponent of using tax money to give the taxpayer the best bang for their buck.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we've seen the biggest transition. Our local, we have a union that our employees are involved in, and they were a big part of helping us get an increase in our tax levy, which was huge. Because we had old antiquated equipment. We'd show up to your house in a 1991 engine in 2020 trying to do business in a 30-year-old truck. And so it was largely problematic because that stuff fails and it has issues, and it's a safety issue, but it's a safety issue for our people and
100%.
for the people in the district.
And the people you're serving, yeah.
So getting that levy adjusted and changed, we are almost at 100% fleet replacement. So we've started a fleet replacement schedule, getting new equipment in. It also makes the working environment better. These guys can hop into a truck and go to work and rely on the equipment they have. So if that's off the table, that means their number one priority is just safety of them and whoever
100%.
they're taken care of. So full fleet replacement. We're also looking at expanding. So kind of out to the west of us here in Lake Winnebago, they've extended their lake. So they extended it by about 200 acres. When they extended the lake, 40 plots of property there on the lake are in our fire
That's
district.
what I thought.
So
Because they go to Pleasant Hill School District,
they
right?
do, yeah. So they
Okay.
come over here to the school district, but we're responsible to cover that. So we've got some things that are moving as we try to look at maybe building another station. We're going to have to build another station out to the west to cover that area. We've got another fire district over there that would love to have that area, but the assessed valuation's super high. And so we want that money to stay in Pleasant Hill.
Local, yeah.
We want it to stay local, and so we've got that kind of stuff. I am very, very proud to say that we are the only fully staffed fire department in the county, the only one.
You're doing something right there.
Everybody else is struggling to find people, not just in our business, but in society. Everybody's struggling to find people. So we're super blessed. And you know, I was talking with the fire chief at Kansas City as they struggle, and Donna was saying, you know, and we just can't. We're offering all kinds of money. We just can't get them here.
Yeah.
And she said, you know, that it's not about the money. We really feel that it's more of a cultural issue. And I think that is the biggest thing that we have seen. And Jake may be able to speak to that because he's a part of that. But of seeing the cultural change within our fire district here is people enjoying coming to work and enjoying what they do. And company officers, I mean, it, you know, like Donna said from Kansas City, it's really a leadership issue, and I think that's where we were. It was more of a leadership issue, and as we've adjusted some of those things in management and on the floor, these guys are knocking it out of the park.
And that's the thing too. Like, it's a challenge to find people, right? But then,
absolutely.
it's a challenge to keep people.
Right.
I mean, to keep
That retention,
and what you just said, being happy to come to work, liking the people that you work with, liking the way that management and the way you're treated, all that, those things are so important. So that's
Culture, man. Like and I think, I mean, I know we preach that here every day. You know, I mean, it's got to be a good fit. You know, you could be the best, you know, insurance sales guy, whatever you want to be, but if you don't fit our good culture, like, we're not going to sacrifice everything else that we have, you know, just to bring on this person or whatever it may be, right? Like, culture is the number one.
Well, you mentioned football, and of course, again, I'm new to Pleasant Hill, but I was talking with a guy that I knew in high school that I ran into at the football field the other night, and we were chatting and just about, and he's like, do you kind of like watching the football here? And I think that when you look at Pleasant Hill football this year, I think that's one of the biggest things that you see in them is a culture that's created on those guys on the defensive line, the offensive line. You look at them, and it's more than just playing on a team together. It's whatever culture is being created amongst the students, amongst their coaches and stuff. That's powerful. And it breeds
it doesn't
winning.
happen overnight.
Right. It's
you know,
contagious.
that's a consistent. I mean, it's a delayed thing, like, because you have to put the culture in force, right? And then you got to stay consistent with that, right? And sometimes that's hard. So props, man. I mean, that's all. You know, that's not a lot of people when we talk to them. Like, you know, it's like, oh, we just need a hard worker and somebody that does their job good. And it's like, no, man, you got to get culture going first. So that says a lot about you guys, I'd say.
And that's not without trouble.
100%.
I mean, you have there are issues. There's growing pains. There's stuff that we deal with and we struggle with. So,
and two, like you said, you were talking about how it comes with trouble, and it's not one of those things like it takes a long time to build it and get it to where you want it, but then it also needs nurtured because it can be just like your reputation, right? As long as it takes to build it up and get everything right, it can come tumbling down pretty quick too.
Bad word travels way faster than good, right? You know, so and the good, you just don't get awarded for that every single day. But you know, you make one mistake and you get blasted on social media these days. So,
and you mentioned the word consistent. I mean, that's where Jake comes into play because I only have a limited exposure to staff that's out running calls, doing things. I mean, I'm there every day, but he's got a shift that he's with. They work 48-hour shifts, so they're there for 2 full days, and even with having part-timers, so you've got to create a culture within your full-time, which he's responsible for, but then this rotation of people that don't work with you all the time, that work with other shifts, he's got his hands full.
So how is that? I mean, is that tough for you? I mean, because I'm sure you're dealing with all different types of experience levels, right?
Levels, personalities. I mean, it can be a challenge, but it starts with us. I mean, we got to be positive from the very beginning. I'm a big believer that at the start of the shift, you know, get your stuff on the truck, make sure the truck's starting, and then sit at the table 30 minutes to an hour, listen to everyone's lives, you know, what happened on their 4 days, and find out about them a little bit. What's going on? You know, and let's wake up and then let's go start our day. be a team. So.
Yeah. 'Cause at the end of the day, you guys are just like family.
Yeah, we're family, and we got to start it off in a positive way. So if I come to work and I'm positive, then that's contagious, and hopefully it rubs off on everyone else.
100%. It's so funny. Like we do the same thing. Like when we get in the office, at 9:30. Well, we get here, X amount of time, but at 9:30, we have a meeting, and we'll talk about how was last night, how was just normal conversation, and then we'll say, okay, hey, now what do we got going on for the day? What do you need help with? What can we do? What can everybody do, right? Yeah. I'm a big believer you're only as good as your team, right? I mean, you're only as good as the people you have surrounded with. So, that's funny that you say all this, because that's exactly what we do, and we're totally different industries. Sure. I mean, and it's just it's nuts. So
but none of us are. I always use a statement. I mean, I wear a shirt that says Fire Chief, but really, this doesn't mean a whole lot. It really doesn't. Yeah. We're smarter together than we are apart. We've got to make decisions based on everybody.
An asset to everybody. That's how we have to look at it. So like no one's a boss, no one's this. Hey, we're all here to help everybody.
Well, and like we have an A, B, C shift. I'm C shift captain, but the way we got to look at it, and the way I look at it, is there is no ABC. We're all Pleasant Hill Fire.
100%. I've never. Yeah, that's how we
got to
be
united. We got to be there for each other. So because we work overtime on each other's shifts all the time, get mandatoried on each other's shifts. So
And the public doesn't see us. They see us as one organization.
That's what I was going to say.
If we show up on a call, even on there are times where I will fill in on the ambulance, or I'll hop out on the fire truck, whatever I need to do to help out. That when I show up, this really doesn't matter to them at all. Yeah. I mean, they want to know that we're going to take care of them, and I've got to be able to get along with whoever I'm working with.
100%.
Because in our business, it is life and death. Most times.
Yeah. So you guys got to be on sync.
Yeah.
I mean, there can't be any.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, you guys got to, personalities wise, like you guys got to know how this person reacts in this situation, like, right? I mean, like, those are stressful times. It's not like sitting out here writing an insurance policy, like this is legit, like this is go time,
And it's amazing too how the things that you guys are so good at, the things that you see every single day and deal with. And I know everybody's different, but you guys don't show that. Like you don't show how it affects you, the things that you see every day. And to us, it's just like, most people, I think they just, it's their job. That's what they do. But you guys, and I just speak from like knowing my brother. He worked for Pleasant Hill, and now he's in Nashville. Yeah. And I was just amazed at how quickly he could just put up a front or a block. Well, it's almost like you just get desensitized to it in a way.
You get desensitized, but it also goes back to the culture. We rely on each other for comfort, friendships, and we can talk to each other and stuff like that too. So.
Well, I think that within our business, there's a sense of humor that's created that is unbelievably dark. However, I mean,
I think it
is a way that there are things that we can run a really bad call and say things to each other that normal people, I say that very really. I mean, normal people would go, "What is wrong with you?" Jake will laugh about it, and we'll move on, and we find that form of relief somehow in that moment, of having those conversations where we laugh about something, or we poke fun at each other about something that happened to us, and that's how we survive. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in this business this long, because I've had my run of things that aren't cool.
For sure.
So.
And when I was younger, I had a bad accident. A gentleman passed away in the accident. It was a bad deal, right? And I remember you guys. Well, it was in Lee Summit, but the fire department showed up first, and I mean, it was like a hit and run. Like, it was a bad thing. I was 19, 18 years old. These guys showed up, man, and it was just like, hey, like, we got it. We're good. Everything's good. Like, this is what we need to do. It was almost like a calming nature, and we were, because at that age, like, I was by myself. Like, I was like, gosh, I don't know what to do. I was looking for something, and then they showed up. Okay, now everything's good. So you guys have to be that guy, those guys, no matter what the situation is, man. That's respect, because like that's hard. I would say probably no matter how much time you've been doing it, it probably doesn't ever get that much easier.
Well, I mean, there's times when you show up on scene and you're like, oh crap, like this is it's real, like it's go time, but you can't show it.
Exactly.
That's
You
what
know,
I'm saying.
because the people under you, if they see
You
you
panicking or
as the
freaking
man
out.
in charge panicking, then
Yes.
you've lost the scene.
Yep.
You know, so you gotta keep a level head.
Yeah.
You gotta look confident.
Yep.
And you gotta make a decision.
Yep.
You know, you gotta make decisions. You can't be on the fence about it. And
You got to commit.
You gotta commit.
When you make a decision, you got to commit to it
Yeah.
because that'll lose credibility real quick.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're going back and forth with something, man. And that's, like I said, at a young age, I had a ton of respect for you guys. You know, just because again, like, it was a bad. You know, so it was good, comforting. So
The reason
good.
when you brought up the humor and all that stuff. So when I mentioned Cody earlier, Cody lives across the street from me, and he gives me shit all the time because he's like,
Okay, time out. Is this the guy that?
The one they fired, they didn't really fire him.
I know, but is he friends with the guy right behind the guy where
Yes,
I live
yes.
at, and he was out there?
Chad's a firefighter
Okay.
too. So
I'm Chad's neighbor then.
Gotcha.
So
but the reason that it's funny you talk about humor is because he's like, dude, you gotta lighten up. You're a softy. Because some of the shit he says to me, jokes, I'm like, I am. I'm like, what the hell?
What is
Like, what
wrong
are you
with
talking
you?
about, dude? Like, lay off. And but anyway, that's just funny. So let's talk about real quick. And I don't know how important this is because I don't know it. Just from an insurance standpoint, obviously that's what we do, and from your guys' job with winter coming up, house fires, that kind of thing. What are like the most common things that you see people do that they shouldn't, that cause issues as far as fires, like with winter coming up? Is there anything specific that they do?
So, in my role, what I've been doing over the years, I'm a fire investigator also. So, I've investigated a ridiculous amount of fires, and it's not specific to any one type of home. A lot of people are like, well, that area is more blighted, or they're older homes or anything like that. B Shift had a house fire less than a month ago in an $800,000 home. And so it doesn't matter what kind of home that we're running. We see the same consistent stuff. Electrical issues are always a big one. So we have space heaters that get plugged in. It doesn't matter if you have less money or more money. If you're cold, you're the same person that goes out and buys a heater that you stick, under your desk at home, because now, and that's a big issue that we've seen. A lot of people moving home, setting up offices in their home.
That's
And they'll
fine,
run
like in the basement
They'll
or whatever,
run
yeah.
space heaters, but they're overloading circuits too. So we see space heaters are always a consistent issue, but then it's overloading of circuitry in their home. So these residential homes that didn't used to support a full-time office, now these people that are setting up their own offices without anybody taking a look at it, they're running extension cords, and they've got their printer, their laptop, their PC, their TVs, their DVDs, everything is plugged into this one box, and we're running electrical issues as well. So
that
space
makes
heaters,
sense.
electrical, those are huge. Still have a lot of people in this area because it's not a real big urban setting, it's more rural. We still have a lot of people that burn wood. So, and that's not specific to certain homes either, because a lot of people have these fireplaces that are super nice, that are in these big open floor plans of their home that have a sitting room with a dining area and a kitchen, and in the middle of it they've got a fireplace and they're burning wood. And I always love it because it's somebody that has lived in the city all their life and moved out here and went, the first thing I'm going to do this winter is burn something.
I'm going to burn some wood.
Man, it's going to be great to burn some wood in my home.
Crackling and everything.
Right up until they set their house on fire.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, Jake, we need your help.
Yeah,
So
my house is literally burning.
it's burning, yeah.
I've made a mistake.
And that's a number of different things that a lot of poor maintenance and chimneys and flues and things like that. So poor maintenance, and then when they're lighting chimneys and doing that kind of stuff, very poor decision making on how you accomplish getting your chimney going.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What about the gas inserts?
See, a lot of those
Is that an
still.
issue? Is that an issue? I mean, because
not as much with fires as it is gas leaks.
Yeah.
The way that they're constructed and put
Okay.
together. So
I've always wondered that, because there's been a couple times where my wife has left, or maybe myself has left one of those.
left the valve on. Yeah.
Yeah, left it on.
Yeah. We
Not
run
even
some
the
of those
valve,
calls
but like
and-
the actual fire.
Oh,
It's,
gotcha.
where it's.
Sure.
Then I'll come
Pilot light.
home like 3 or 4 hours later. I'll be like, gosh, it's freaking hot in the house. And I'm like,
Oops.
Yeah, and even the space heater. I mean, Michaela puts on her desk sometimes.
Michaela has
And,
space heaters everywhere.
So like, yeah.
she'll, like when we have company come over, you know, and we'll be in the basement, she'll get the space heaters going in the basement because it's kind, you know, it's cold down there.
Right. That's what I love about the basement, though. It's nice and cool.
Oh, I love it
Yeah,
too.
too.
It's,
No, not females.
No.
Everything. We refer to that in our business as nursing home hot.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like the second you crest the door, it's about 107 in there, and females love it. They
Yep.
they love that heat.
That's a good. That's
nursing
good.
home hot, man.
Yeah, man, that's good.
Yeah, I get hot easily. I want that thing below 70.
Yeah.
Keep it. So, yeah. So, okay. So those are really good. Anything else as far as just coming into wintertime that you guys would advise people? Like just anything at all? Good.
Gosh.
Do you guys write auto policy as well? So as we get into wintertime, it is, we always say just add water. You add rain, snow, sleet, ice, people lose their mind and completely forget how to drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you've got the same people that live out here, and it takes them 20 minutes to get to work, and they believe that they can still reach that destination in 20 minutes with 3 inches of ice on the ground. And so that becomes a huge issue for guys in operations as they start running tons and tons
Yep.
of car wrecks and stuff. Of, you know, as we approach winter, people need to
Yeah. Because that's what you guys
budget
probably,
their time a little bit better.
correct, and that's what you guys are running most of the times, right?
Yeah.
as-
So,
as far
car
as
wrecks,
accidents and
EMS
stuff
calls,
A
like
lot
that.
of car
accidents,
wrecks.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of car wrecks.
Yeah.
And if you try to get out on the 7 highway at Friday afternoon after like 2 o'clock, you're going to wait. And so people, once we get stuff on the ground, they don't afford themselves
The extra time.
the extra time to get out or to move and do that kind of stuff. So we'll run a ton of car wrecks, and
Yeah.
the folks at Klein Auto Body love it. We do not.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So you guys run? Is it just Pleasant Hill District, right? I mean, it's not. 'Cause-
101 square miles.
okay.
So we go all the way to 291 almost.
Okay.
219th Street down 7 Highway.
Is there ever a time where, you know, another department will call you guys and need your guys' help, or vice versa? Is that ever a
yes.
thing sometimes?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
and that's a huge issue right now in the county
Because of the
because of the
employment.
shortage of people working. So communities around us are short-staffed, and so we have to send resources to help them out, both
Because we're in a
fire
rural
and
area,
EMS.
you know, so you have a lot of, you know, Holden, Kingsville. I mean, I don't even know if they have their own departments or if it's only volunteer.
Right.
I'm not real familiar on how that stuff works. But
I
just
mean,
didn't
even
know
the
that.
larger departments. So,
I
so
guess
as
you're
you,
right, too.
as you
Yeah,
move
they have more
south towards
issues, too, yeah.
Harrisonville,
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time there,
Yeah, a lot of
running calls for them and things. And the issue there is that our people that live here in this community, they deserve and expect a certain service. So it makes it hard to farm out our resources to other communities when our people here need to have that available to them. So
For sure.
So do you guys have any like trainings as well, like for the culture stuff? I mean, like, you know, for like how to run a healthy fire department. You know, because like on our end, like we just think, you know, we call you guys come up and help us, save us, and do our thing, and that's it. You know, like
Right.
it's not like like you're talking about, like it's a culture, like it's just like every other job. But I don't think the normal person probably views you guys as that, right? So is that stuff that you guys, you know, departments will do? Will they'll go through like trainings on how to have a healthy culture?
there is stuff that exists now,
Uh-huh.
and that is something that is having to change for our organization.
Yeah.
Because for us, it really didn't. We were just relying on guys that either had some type of spiritual health and faith
sure.
that's how they survive, or had other things, which is why we're experiencing
Yeah.
a huge issue in our service right now. Is that we're losing more firefighters by year to suicide than we are even in the line of duty.
Yeah.
So a lot of mental health stuff, a lot of behavioral health stuff, and we've got to figure out a way to get better. I just finished a conference call today, and Jake doesn't even know this yet. It's a new health and wellness program that we're working on as an organization. It's called All Clear. It's a national grant that was awarded to the University of Missouri Kansas City, and we were selected today as an organization to be assisted by All Clear.
Okay.
To help with mental health, to offer some things to our employees, to everybody within the service. Because it's not about just, I like Jake, he's a great guy.
sure.
Want him to be well, be healthy. Obviously, we know that physically he's very healthy because he can,
Pick up a
you
car.
can pick up this building.
stop.
And so, but you know, we have to start looking at the mental health
Yeah.
of our
And
people
that's-
and keeping them healthy, and that's a huge part of our culture. It's not about it. These guys know what they're doing, so when they go out the door, we entrust Jake with a ton of responsibility, and he knocks that out of the park. It's the other stuff that 70% of what we do is in the building, in the house, and trying to deal with personalities and deal with people and all that, and that can be a huge hit to your mental health.
100%. And
Yeah.
and you know, and I'm sure, I don't know what the percentage looks like from, you know, men to female, but like I know this is a thing that we've talked about before, but you know, men, you know, you're not supposed to have any issues. You're supposed to be strong, and you know, everything's
man.
good.
We're
But
tough.
that's not how, you know what I mean? That's
Right.
that's what gets people, is
Right.
because they don't think they can go talk to somebody because they got to be that guy.
Yeah, there's
And
a
that's
stigma, huge.
Yeah, but I mean, I think at this point everybody's breaking that cycle, and out of anything, like your guys' industry is huge for that, because you guys are dealing with a lot of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of bad stuff. So that's why I thought that.
Yeah,
just
and unfortunately, I think I just know specifically about our job market, but like with our people, it is predominantly men that are the biggest role players in this organization. We have lots of females that work with us, but what I know specifically about men is that we do struggle with things, and we have the greater tendency to make really bad decisions when we're dealing with stuff poorly.
100%.
So we don't. There's that stigma of, man, we don't want to show any kind of vulnerability or weakness or anything like that. So we deal with stuff in the worst way possible.
Emotional maturity levels.
Yeah.
My emotional maturity levels suck sometimes.
Right, I get it.
You know,
we're
but
dead, so.
but that's one of the things that you just don't talk about a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so that's good. That's good to hear. I mean, because like I
Yeah.
said, that I feel like that's super important.
Well, let's talk about, we're going to shift gears here.
Cool.
So, Chiefs lost yesterday. They sucked really
It
badly.
was terrible.
Missouri Tigers, they Missouri'd it.
But
They
those
had-
Jayhawks,
That's what I was getting ready to get to. The Jayhawks, as much as it kills me to say, are really freaking fun to watch this year.
Jalen
So,
Daniels.
yeah, what's the difference? What do you think? I mean, you watch it all the
Culture.
time, so.
Culture.
It goes back to culture.
Lance Leipold comes in
Consistency.
there year 2, gets a bunch of transfers and changes the culture, and
They're rolling.
yeah, they're rolling.
Did they have a good crowd on Saturday? And Lawrence, was it sold
Yeah,
out?
it was sold
I
out.
believe it was completely sold out
Really?
on Thursday.
Wow.
First time since 2019.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, so you're 4-0 now. That's more games. So they've already surpassed
It's
their
more
last, like,
games
10
than they won the
years.
last 10 years.
Yeah. So that's
First
awesome.
time they've been
Combined.
4-0 since 09,
Yeah.
I believe.
Gosh dang.
That's
Well, just
awesome.
remember this. Okay?
That's cool. That's fun. That's
In the
exciting.
best
Yeah.
year, in the best year that KU's ever had, they still didn't beat Missouri that year. So at football,
That
at
is- that
football.
is true.
Yeah, that's
That was
true.
probably bad. When was the last time Missouri and
would've
KU
been-
played each other?
That was 07. Was whenever they had the game at Arrowhead with
It was
Chase
like
Daniels,
Brad's.
Tom
Oh, okay.
Reese, and-
Okay.
One of the guys that played for KU basketball last year had put something out that men's sports at KU has not suffered a loss since like February, I think.
That's awesome.
So,
Even though
yeah.
Well, there's nothing to
Killing
argue.
it.
We can't. There's nothing. There's no comeback that we can say.
Right,
to-
I mean, 4-0, that's better the record than Mizzou.
No, yeah, Mizzou's trash. Mizzou's trash.
You know,
But that's still well done.
Well, and you know what's funny about that too is Mizzou fans always did that SEC, right? SEC. How bad did they lose to K-State this year?
You're
You
right.
can't even say that right now this season.
There's no argument here, man. We're just we got our tails between our legs here, man.
Nah,
we
they'll
got
be
nothing.
fine.
It is what it is.
They'll be
It is
good.
what it is. No, but the best thing that's going right now, football, is the Pleasant Hill Roosters. They're freaking
Roosters
crushing it.
rolling.
Yeah.
And your son's a junior.
Yep.
Stud. He's D tackle, right? Or is
Yeah,
he
he's
okay.
a D tackle on the line, big boy. He likes to eat. He likes the weight room.
Is he bigger than you?
He's
Not
not
yet.
He is. Like I
Okay.
mean, I'm only
He's
two.
big.
Yeah, I'm only probably 230. He's
Okay.
265.
Oh wow. Okay, so he is
He's
a big boy.
He's a big boy. He's squatting like 500 pounds. He just turned 16 end of June too.
Yeah,
So he
they
should
got-
probably actually be a sophomore. We probably
Wow.
should
That's
have
awesome,
him back
man.
a little bit.
Yeah, they have a solid D line because they got Brody Kohlers right there.
Brody
on the line,
Kohler,
too.
he's like a first team All State.
And-
Easton Cotter, Johnny Cox,
Yeah, they-
Carter Hall.
Now, have all these kids been playing together since Little League?
Pretty much. So Braden, my boy, started in 5th grade.
Okay.
So we've kind of followed him That's when we moved to Pleasant Hill from Lee Summit.
Okay.
Been following since.
And then what's Rowe Easton? Is that his
Easton
name?
Rowe.
Okay, so he's a big dude, isn't he?
He's a stud quarterback.
I mean,
He's got
yeah,
an
but
arm.
he's pretty stout too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
So, and I know a lot of the guys on the staff really well, and the coaching staff really well. And one of the, and he goes right into culture like we're talking about. But I hear it all the time from them. Like whenever you're talking about the difference in just this team, and obviously we're on the outside. We're not seeing practices. We're not seeing the game prep, all that stuff too. So like with you as just a parent, which you're biased because you're a parent.
Right.
What do you see from the big picture of like why is this team so good? What do you think?
Well, I mean, it does start at the top. These coaches care about the boys, and it shows. We see it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it starts with that. They're hitting the weight room hard. I mean, hard, and that's the foundation. I mean, the boys are coming in bigger, faster, stronger, and they're creating a culture that's going back to the younger kids.
Yep.
So they're bringing in they're doing coaching clinics with other coaches from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or 8th, 9th they're in high school, but and they're building that foundation from an earlier age, and it's. I mean, Pleasant Hill football is not going to drop off anytime soon.
And that's like back when we were in school, in like 09. We had a good Pleasant Hill had 5 or 6 years where they were
we
really
had a really good stretch.
We had some good athletes too, and it wasn't necessarily the weightlifting and the training on that side. It wasn't like that was not there. You had to show up and you did your thing, but I don't remember anybody just coming in there and being just a workout, fanatic. It was the guys in there just, every once in a while you get a guy in there working out hard, but it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like now, there's so many people that are all about health and fitness. Like I see over at the gym over here, man, I know that there's football players, coming in after they're done practicing or whatever.
Well, I'll give you an example.
Out.
I mean, I've got a 3-car garage just full of weights, right?
Yeah.
My oldest boy can go out there anytime he wants. He does. 4 o'clock this morning, he met a friend over there at Anytime Fitness and lifted weights at 4 o'clock this morning.
I see him all the time, especially, I mean, now it's kind of slowed down because it's season, but before, I knew that there was camp going on, and next thing you know, I see these guys come in, I'm like, man, these guys that was not anything we did.
Right.
We just went to practice, and
Well,
that
I
was
think listening to Jake and just other people around too, that we talk about the firehouse, that the kitchen table's kind of where we learn about each other and kind of figure out how to do life and that kind of junk. I think the weight room has become that for some of these boys that
100%.
Man, their bonds and their relationships, they found their place, and that just happens to be the weight room. So they're slinging weight.
and there's no
hanging
better
out,
place to be than that.
Sure.
I mean, that's
you know what the weight room really builds? I always tell my boy, I was like, the biggest muscle you build in the weight room is your heart and your mind. You get confidence. It's a scary
100%.
thing for an athlete.
100%. And I've always said this before. I know I've said it to you. I've always thought, and this is a totally different way of thinking, but I've always thought, man, if a guy's got some big old freaking thighs on him, that's the guy you want to have working for you. Sure. Right? Because you know that it takes a lot to get some big old legs on you to train your legs out. So that guy's a hard ass worker. We know that for sure. So, because I love working out too, and that wasn't something that we even really knew about back in.
It's a different time. Yeah, I mean, it's a different time. And,
It is.
and programs, I mean, it was.
They've evolved, man.
Yeah, they evolved. So if we're not doing the things that everybody else is doing and trying to do them better, then you're just falling behind. And when I made the comment to you a second ago about you being a biased parent, I follow your stuff on Facebook. The coolest part about you is you're coming at everything from literally the most positive standpoint. Like you're anything that you do on Facebook with a post about football, it's all positivity. There's no blaming. There's no upset with anything. It's just how do you get better? How do you constantly motivate yourself with motivating other people? All those types of things.
If I'm negative and I show negativity to my boys playing football, they're gonna get that vibe from me, and it's gonna rub off on them. He's the thing about my oldest boy is he worked his butt off for where he is right now.
Yep.
He didn't sit around and wait for it to happen or anything. He just went and got it.
Yep.
He went and took it, and he was positive. He knew that he had to work hard. He wasn't a good football player his freshman year. I mean, he wasn't.
Yeah.
But he knew he knew what he needed to do.
Makes it
and,
even better, though.
Yeah, we stayed positive. We didn't complain about his playing time his freshman year. We just said we need to go to work.
Yep.
Let's get in the gym.
Yep.
That's
It
what you
starts
got to
with
have that
that,
mindset,
so-
man. That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
it seems like there's a team full of those right now. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So that's kind of that's kind of where I thought we would end up, and that's exactly where you put it. So,
That's cool.
yeah. So they got homecoming this week with Oak Grove.
Homecoming, yep, Oak
And-
Grove. And then I think it's Center.
Okay, I thought Center was at the very end, but I think you're
No,
right.
Warrensburg and then Center, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, Warrensburg. and
That's
Center.
Warrensburg, huh?
How did they match up against Oak Grove? I don't know anything about Oak Grove.
Oak Grove likes to run the ball. They line up old school football. If they still do this year, I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah.
In the last few years, it's like old school T formation, a lot of
You know, like
What
some
happened with
wishbone
the
stuff.
wishbone type stuff. So
What happened in Odessa? I thought that was going to be a lot closer. I mean, in Odessa's.
Odessa, now they've lost a lot of
Have they?
kids.
Okay.
Yeah, they graduate a lot of kids, but I mean they've been the gold standard. They probably haven't been beat like that in over a decade.
That's what I mean,
Well,
even
that's-
back in the day, like they were
But
like that.
before the game, I mean, I've got a buddy that lives out in Odessa, and he was already shooting me messages. Was like, "Hey, this is going to be an all-out battle."
Yeah.
Like,
I think-
dude, really? You know?
We talked about that too. He's like, man, it's going to be a good game. And I
We
looked
talked
at
to the
score, I'm
trainers
like,
from both sides, which we do when we do the standbys. We talk to the trainers, and both of the trainers were like, "Be ready, because we think there's going to be blood. You know, like
That's
it's
awesome,
going to
yeah.
be crazy." And then it was not. I mean, there was a couple. I mean, that first quarter was kind of they just playing good hard ball, and somebody, I think it was even the police chief, was like, this may be a long night for both of them. You know, a lot of hard fought, and that was a great quarter. And then Pleasant Hill said, "Absolutely not."
Let's roll.
Let's get after it.
Step notch here,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the things that I've heard from a couple of the guys that I know is their biggest challenge is keeping them humble, because they are good. Like we're good.
Yeah.
And I think watching the Harrisonville game, anybody that had seen the first couple weeks was going into the Harrisonville game thinking, maybe we have a chance to just roll Harrisonville, which doesn't really happen.
Yeah,
Right.
And it didn't happen. They had a heck of a battle in
Yeah.
there. So I know
they overlooked Harrisonville a little bit.
and that didn't happen Friday, because the expectation on our side, like from the guys that I talked to, was no, it's going to be a battle, and obviously
I mean,
the kids went in thinking that, and that's
It's
what
a
happens
bunch
when
of
you
16,
do that.
17-year-old boys, you know. There's still a bunch of kids. So
Bunch of egos, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I can only, shoot at 30, we got egos. Me and Dusty go at each other sometimes in here. So,
Well, I mean, you got the Kansas City Chiefs going into an Indianapolis team that
yeah,
I really thought they were
Exact
going to
same
roll them.
thing.
So
football's unpredictable, especially at high
100%.
school. But yeah, that Center game, that's the one. Pencil. Hopefully, we don't overlook Oak Grove and Warrensburg, but
I think they're
Center's
locked
like
in.
That's a
ranked
big one.
4, I think, in Class 4.
oh,
right?
really? Oh, wow.
So they're
Big deal.
steamrolling everyone. And that's here in Pleasant Hill,
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a good
That'd
one.
be a good
so
one.
that's a good one to go to.
And I feel like it sounds like you guys have just a bunch of good, like solid players. I mean,
Yeah, it's
is
just a
there
bunch of
is there any like a bunch of standouts, or is it just a bunch of just good, solid,
There's
hardworking
standouts.
dudes?
I mean, it's all hardworking dudes. We're solid all the way around, but I mean, we have our standouts.
Yeah.
Braden Bush is just he's a different animal.
really?
Brody Kohler, a different animal. But gosh, on the line we got Sam Driscoll, just pancakes everyone. So
Dude, that's awesome. That's such a fun feeling.
we're solid all
Okay.
around. There's no weaknesses as long as they play for each other, with each other,
Yeah.
keep their minds
Good.
right.
But they kept a lot of people from last year, though,
Yeah.
right? Like you guys. I mean, that was a young team last year, and they did well last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they went
we
a
lost
long
some
way.
studs, but people just stepping up.
Yeah.
Returned a lot. And
That culture,
culture.
consistency, and
All about that culture.
It's going good.
Hamilton's doing great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We got to keep him. He's awesome.
He's
And I got to speak for Coach Shaner,
Yeah.
too. I mean, he's my son's position coach. He's awesome. We couldn't have had a better
He was a
position
beast back in the day.
coach. Was he?
Andrew
He's a big dude. He's a
is,
smart dude, real smart.
Yeah, you can tell.
and there's nobody that you would want your kid to play for more than him.
Oh,
Like,
my son loves him.
He's one of
Really?
the best people
Yeah.
that I've ever met. Literally would do anything for anybody, and I know he loves them. I mean, he talks. We talk about football every single week,
Yeah.
and he loves his guys. So
My son loves playing for him. We got blessed that we have him for a position coach.
Is Gasper? Is he still coaching?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, Gasper.
Okay. Gasper, I always had a ton of respect for Gasper. He, yeah, I always liked him. I played I played D for him, and he.
When you've been coaching high school football for 20-something years, you have to love it. You have to
Oh,
love
yeah.
the people. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's something he probably never even knew.
Yeah.
You know how much you know, it made a change on there. So character-wise and everything. So
You got anything else to ask? We good?
I think we're
I
good,
think
man.
our camera shut off again.
Both of
Son
them
of a
did. Hell of a- Yeah, we've been talking for a while, probably.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's all good.
Well, guys, thanks for coming
Yeah,
on.
thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Like, really, really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's been good.
Our pleasure.
Just wanna, actually, I was wondering. I was like, how are we gonna talk for this long? And I feel like
Well, we
we
talked
just keep
longer than I
talking.
thought.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going to try and keep it 15, 20 minutes, but we get bad with that. We'll get to talking.
Yeah, and there's a lot to talk about, especially when you
And
bring
we're trying.
football
What we're
into
trying
it.
to do with this, like, we're just trying to. I mean, just one, like, talking. This is fun. You know, this is fun hearing your guys' stuff, and hopefully get some, you know, the audience to see different personalities and everything like that. Everybody feels comfortable. We're all trying to keep it local too. So.
Yeah.
And it's good what you guys are doing with the whole community, not just with us, you know,
Yeah.
bringing us in, but bringing everyone in.
We're trying. I mean, this is out of my comfort zone. Like getting on camera and doing just like this is off. So I know it's. I don't know if it's normal for you guys or not, but.
I mean, this guy's a pro at it.
was gonna say, man, you sound good.
On the other side of the state line, the fire department that I worked for had a media division. So
Okay. Okay.
I transferred into media for 18 months. And,
Okay.
and did,
Yeah,
did a
okay.
bunch of that. So
Okay, so you are here.
Spent a lot of time behind a camera, on a camera, running a board, doing
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It was being a fireman and learning that aspect of it, because the fire department was a corporation, and we were contracted with the city to provide fire service. So the fire service there, the guy that I worked for, Marty DeShield, was an executive producer for ESPN, and
wow.
we filmed Bassmasters, all of the Firefighter Challenge stuff. We had 4 different contracts with ESPN, so it was great for my career, learning
100%.
how to do all that kind of stuff,
100%.
and learning how to do public information, and that is something I think that our district lacked a little bit, and we're getting better at that, of trying to step into utilizing social media a little bit to just interact with people.
Yeah.
And
It's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, the community had no idea what we did around here.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of the community that thinks we're a Pleasant Hill Fire Department, you know, and all we serve is Pleasant Hill.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people would come to me and be like, "Why'd you guys build your station all the way down south of town? Like, that's far away from everyone." Well, really,
It's
when you
probably
look at
in the
our
middle.
district on the map, it's right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right off 58 and 7 Highway, we can get anywhere.
Yeah.
And that people still struggle to realize that we're not affiliated with the city. So we're our own standalone subdivision, and run our own business. And
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Seriously
thanks for having
on.
us.
Thanks for coming on and what you guys do on a day-to-day basis. So,
appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, that's a wrap.
Go Roosters.